This is the opening of the Oldham County Code Enforcement Board of Wednesday, June the 7th, 2020. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the May 3rd minutes. Has the board had a chance to read the minutes?
I move that the minutes be approved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Adam, we're ready for you.
Good afternoon. So the first case today, citation number 695. This is 1630 Harmony Point Circle. It's in Goshen, Kentucky. The owner on record was Blue Horizon Homes of 3206 Neville Mead Drive in Prospect. This hearing was not requested. Here's the general location off of Highway 42. This is a violation of Ordinance 05830-326, construction site runoff. This is a notice of violation and referral for citation from the Oldham County Engineering Office. Here's a couple pictures of from the Oldham County Engineering Office. In the picture on the left, you can see the mud and aggregate from the site into the road. The picture on the right, that the silt fence was at capacity. The citation was issued on 4/12 of 2023. I'd received the inspection and referral by the Oldham County Engineering Department on April the 10th. The citation was issued on April the 12th. It was re-inspected and in compliance on June the 1st, and the citation was paid for $250 on May the 11th of 23. So I don't think we have to vote to close this. It's just, it was on the agenda.
Yeah, if that's your recommendation, that this be
Closed.
case closed.
Yeah.
And we don't have to vote, right? Do we have to make a
You do
motion?
just need to make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to close this request.
Make a motion that that case be closed.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
So it's citation 696, 4902 Sycamore Ridge Lane. This was in LaGrange, Kentucky. The owner on record is BC Homes LLC of 3202 Wildwood Trace in LaGrange. This hearing was not requested. This is the general location of the property. It's a subdivision off of Highway 42. The violation is a violation of ordinance number 05-830-315, control of open burning. Any permissible open burning must be supervised while in progress. These are some pictures that were taken on April the 14th by me. As you can see in the picture on the left, you have a large pile of debris that's being burned, and same way with the picture on the right. I came out there, I got a call, and when me and Jim Irvin was with me, there was no one on site to supervise the burning of this debris pile. Here's a copy of the citation that was issued on April the 18th. A debris pile was reported burning and unattended. No one was on site when I arrived. We made several phone calls to the developer, who finally sent an individual to supervise it. On April the 18th, the citation was issued. On May the 9th, the citation was paid in the amount of $150. So once again, my recommendation is that this case be closed.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for this case to be closed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next up, we have citation number 697. This is for Roy's Body Shop at 2604 Highway 146 in LaGrange. The owner on record is Roy Clifford of 2604 Highway 146. This hearing was not requested. This is the general location on 146 where the property is located. This is a violation of Oldham County zoning 290-040. A sign permit shall be obtained prior to the construction or erection of any allowable sign. On February the 13th, you can see a picture of the sign. It's the one over here that says, "Hit a deer." I had also sent them in the courtesy or the notice of violation regarding debris and, a nuisance violation for the property needing to be cleaned up. So the picture on the right was also on February the 13th of all the junk and debris that was laying around. Once again, 2 more pictures taken on February the 13th with the junk and debris. A notice of violation was sent out on February the 15th for a nuisance ordinance and the zoning procedure regarding a sign permit. On March the 23rd, I did do a inspection. The property was significantly cleaned up, but no sign permit was still, they still had not received their sign permit. So May the 12th, over the last 1 to 2 months, I had made several phone calls and visits to the shop to inform them to come in and get their sign permit or to remove the sign. I even went and dropped an application off for a sign permit sometime around May the 1st. I took them an application and asked them to bring it in. On May the 12th, they still had not applied for the sign permit, so I issued a citation for the sign permit. I did not cite them for the nuisance violation because the property had been cleaned up. This was only a citation for the sign permit. To the right on this, you've got the llama incident report. Here's a copy of the citation that was issued, citation 697 that was issued on May the 12th. The current conditions and the requirement for compliance. As of yesterday, the sign remains without a permit, and to my knowledge, no attempt has been made to, by the property owners to communicate with our office in any way, to get the property in compliance. A permit needs to be obtained or the sign needs to be removed.
And Adam, just for the record, they have moved their business.
Correct.
This is still owned by Clifford.
Correct.
And so this is really not even related to this current location in terms of operation of business.
I do think they're still doing a little bit there. I don't know what they're doing there, but I have seen people over there periodically. The majority of their business has been moved over to Button Lane. So I don't know what they're using this for at all. But the sign is still there and it's not permitted.
Adam, is there anyone here today who, on behalf of the respondent? No? Okay. Okay, does the board have any questions of Adam? Okay.
I'm just going to say that, we allowed them to put it up there as a temporary sign at a time when, during COVID, everything was happening. And we're always trying to be business friendly, but this is well beyond the time frame of the original temporary sign permit. Right? I think we issued them a temporary sign permit a long time ago.
I wasn't here for that, so that, I know that you told me that you did give them a temporary permission to put one up, and
But it's only for 3 months.
Yeah. But I've made numerous attempts to get them to come in and, gave them Brian's number, and I've talked to him every day and asked him, and they haven't even contacted us.
Is the sign mobile?
It's on a trailer. It looks like
on a
it's
trailer.
it
It's
can
on
be
the side of one of
moved.
those.
I think it's like a
shipping-
plastic sign that's like
It's a
zip tied
plastic
on or
sign.
something like that.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
on like a little shipping container of some
So
sort.
he could
Should be, okay.
take that off, you think?
I think he could.
It's not painted on.
It's
The-
not
The real
adhered to.
question, is it
Okay.
painted on? The answer is no. It's
Okay.
it's
So
a
he could
panel.
just take it down.
Yes.
So he's received a citation for $150, is that right?
Yes,
And it's still there?
yes.
Would there be a difference if the sign was painted on?
Be just harder to move it. I mean, he can go up there and snip it and take it down. I mean, it's
Well-
pretty easy.
To answer the question, it would not have been issued because there are sign size limitations, and he already has signage on the building. And if this was a permanent sign, we would not have issued a permit for it. But as a temporary sign, which you can do, if you make an application, it was, again, an attempt to be business-friendly during a time when COVID, and it's been there ever since without permits. So it's time to get it out of there,
Okay.
especially since they've moved the business.
Any other questions of Adam? Is everybody ready to get started? So we can move forward with procedural matters?
So-
Excuse me, madam?
Can I make a motion that the citation was properly issued on May 12th
Yes?
to the respondent, who was the owner of the property?
Okay. We'll continue on.
Second?
Okay. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Okay. This is a zoning, a sign permit. Keep going. That's under the nuisance.
Under nuisance?
There is a separate one. Oh, it's zoning. Gotcha. Sorry.
it's
Under
under
the
the-
zoning side. Sorry.
It's under zoning, under regulations for signs and sign permits.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that there was violation of the Oldham County zoning ordinance as an activity being conducted at the location, namely a unapproved sign, which is a violation of the county ordinance because it's not permitted in this zone.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries.
And can I just add, it'd be helpful to put in, if you look at the citation, it lists that it's OC zoning 290040 procedure, just to make sure that we're referencing the zoning ordinance and the particular violation.
Okay.
So if you don't mind adding that to your motion and
I'd
second.
be glad to.
Okay, thanks.
Like to make a motion for, we're doing the final order, that the business or the owner take down the sign within 14 days of today.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that the owner take down the sign 14 days from today.
Second?
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Excuse me, it would be helpful for you to also give direction to the code enforcement officer what to do next if they don't in this. You say within 14 days. And then what, if it's not? This board, I think, can instruct staff to issue another citation or daily citations until such time as it's taken down. So it would be really helpful, since we're here, to say what comes if they don't do it within 14 days.
Do we just amend that motion then?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't catch it when it.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah, and then have a discussion about that. You can amend the motion and then have a discussion about what you want to see happen if it is not removed within 14 days.
I would like to amend my motion that after 14 days, if the sign has not been removed, that additional site,
Well, let me just, so if one additional citation has an increased fine, but that means that if it's, again, not removed, they pay or don't pay the fine, then, it would come back here with one citation. In this case, is it really necessary to say, if it's not removed, you get a citation for every day it's not removed? That's really, again, what your choice is. Decide how you want to proceed with telling the staff what to do. So is it a daily citation or just one more?
I was going to go with a daily citation. I mean, if it's a temporary sign, it's zip tied on. I mean, that shouldn't take more than a few minutes to take off. So, yeah, after 14 days, if the sign's still not taken down, I amend my motion that there would be a daily citation until it is taken down.
And on these citations, they will know the amount of the fine? Will they know the amount of the fine for every citation they get?
Yeah, there is a schedule of fines, so it's for the second citation, it's, I think it's $250, and then for each additional one, it's
So it could
$400.
be $250 a day.
Well, and then after that, it's $400 per day. So third of citation on, it's $400 a day. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm not looking at the schedule, but something like that.
Okay, we have an amended motion on the floor. Do we now have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. You need to do the civil fine? Who wants to go next? We're still working. We're not done.
Still
Oh,
this case.
We need to do the civil fine.
And this is only on the existing citation, so you determine whether it needs to be paid immediately or within 14 days or held in abeyance or whatever you choose.
Is there an option for us to just go remove it ourselves?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, who would like to do the civil fine? Are you working on it?
I make a motion that the fine be paid within 14 days if the sign is not removed. Be paid immediately.
Well, it's whether or not it is, because this is part of the existing citation, so.
If it is not removed in 14 days, that the fine be paid immediately.
Well, you can say something, is it?
Yeah, I think the fine is going to need to be paid no matter what.
Yep.
My suggestion would be that if it's not paid in 14 days, then a lien be placed against the property.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the fine be paid with, if the fine's not paid within 14 days, that a lien be placed against the property.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. For a vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries. Okay. All right, Adam.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to remove myself from the room for this next
All right,
hearing.
sir.
Thank you.
It was J. Scott.
So our next case is citation number 698. This is 3505 Hawthorne Court. This is LaGrange, Kentucky. The owner on record is Martha T. and David W. Kent of 3505 Hawthorne Court, LaGrange, Kentucky. This hearing was not requested. This is the general location of the property. It is in Briar Ridge off of Highway 393. This is a nuisance violation, 89-800-846, sections 1, 2, and 3. So the picture on the left here, these pictures were taken on May the 11th of 23. As you can see in the picture on the left, the grass had really overgrown. The vegetation in general was extremely tall when I went out that way. On the right, you can see the tree that had fallen across the driveway, and if you look behind that tree, there is a vehicle back there. Once again, two more pictures. The picture on the left shows the vegetation. There's quite a bit of bamboo that is really growing through the property and along the neighboring property. There are people here today to talk a little bit about that. And then on the right, there's a vehicle here that is a inoperable vehicle. There's actually two of them in that circular driveway. This is a incident. So this case had a old incident summary. To go back to the previous code enforcement officer, I think it was Daryl Townsend that started a case with this property. I don't want to go into a lot of detail on it because I was not the code enforcement officer at that time. I do know that he issued a courtesy letter and a notice of violation. That case was still open as of the time that I started my case. This case was started in 2020. I know that we had some unfortunate things with Daryl, and I don't know why the case, but the case, was basically just left hanging from 2020. When I started this case up, the old case did come up. This is my current case history, the incident summary from 2023. It did go because of the case history. I went straight to a citation. This is a copy of the citation number 698 that was issued on May the 17th of 2023. I did post a citation on the door at the residence. I do not believe anybody's residing in the residence from the looks of the property. I also posted it at their residence. They live on 4th Street. I do know they reside there, so I did post a copy of the citation on 4th Street on the 18th. And there's a picture of that. So a little bit of the history on this case. May the 11th, I received a complaint on the property. I did a site inspection. The pictures don't show justice. There was junk, debris scattered all around the property, vehicles that appeared to be non-running, the grass, shrubs, bamboo, all of it was overgrown. I issued the citation on May the 17th due to the previous history with the office. I did do another site inspection yesterday, June the 6th. There was some improvement to the property. It looked like the grass had been cut, but the property was still in violation, and the owner of the property has actually never communicated with me. I do know that he has probably spoke to some people in our office, but he's never spoken to me. The picture on the right shows the picture that I took yesterday. You can still see the debris in the driveway and the overgrowth in the front of the house. On the left, you do have the vehicle still down and the tree across the driveway. The picture to the right shows a little bit of picture with there's a lot of debris and trash back there down at the bottom of the driveway on the other side of that car, and there's a picture of that car. Here's the two other vehicles that are in the circular part of the driveway. I did run the plates on all three of these vehicles. Not a single one of them are currently registered. Two of them expired in 22. One of them, I believe it expired in 2020. This is another picture that I took showing the grass cut, but in the back you can see the bamboo, and the neighboring property is just to the right of here. I do believe they sent a letter in explaining the situation with this property. So the vegetation along neighboring properties, this is what needs to be done for compliance. The vegetation needs to be cut back and maintained. The non-running and unregistered vehicles need to be stored in a garage or removed from the property. The debris, junk, and trash, it all needs to be removed from the property. and the vegetation around the house needs to be cut back, and it needs to be maintained. I do know there are people here on both sides. So, do you all have any questions?
Not of you right at the moment, but do you have witnesses in support of what
I
you're
do.
saying? Okay, let's call them before.
Adam, may I ask one question, please?
Sure.
Say the owner resides on 4th Street
Yes.
in Louisville?
No, right here in LaGrange.
Okay.
4th Street in LaGrange. I'm sorry.
All right, so who's coming up first?
Do what?
Who are you bringing up?
I'll let them.
Okay. When you come up, you'll raise your right hand. You can go before the mic. Sorry, I've confused you.
My first time.
Me too.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And your name, please?
My name is Robert Adams. My wife Heidi and I live across the street. While we are not the complainant, we are here to support the complaint. We've each got a letter to you guys. I would love to read it, but I just got brand new eyes from cataract surgery and everything, so it's a little tough. But you do have the letters. But in the ballpark from the complainant, the bamboo is starting to grow over into their yard, and bamboo is really hard to get rid of. There's also that invasive honeysuckle that's growing. Had a tree that fell onto their fence, the Farrell's fence, broke the top realm of it, and Michelle Farrell and I cut the tree back as much as we could and reestablished the fence as best we could. I know recently they have sent a registered letter saying that there are a couple of dead trees that are leading towards their property, and they're really concerned because if they fall, it's going to land right on the house. From our perspective, we look at it every day, and that Briar Ridge subdivision there has a few houses that need some work, but it is really, to me, bringing the property values down, and it just needs to be maintained. And I believe there's a total of 4 cars, one you couldn't see there. But, we've seen the code enforcement officer all over there several times. My wife and I also have a security camera, and we have seen people coming up to look at the house. There was a burglary in the house behind us recently because it was vacant while they were trying to sell. And then we saw 2 gentlemen, well, I won't say gentlemen, 2 men over there kind of scoping out this house. And, we're afraid of, again, unsavory characters over there trying to break into the house, and we would hate to see their house broken into and damaged. But the other issue is when the grass and the bamboo gets tall like that, we've seen an influx of coyotes that are over that way. Recently on Rock Rose, there's a couple of cats that are attacked by juvenile coyotes and everything. So my wife and I have 4 little Pomeranians, and we don't want to see that happen. So, it's just a rough situation. And I understand Mr. Kent's trying, but it just has to be done.
Okay, appreciate it.
Are there any questions, or?
No, that'll come later if we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We need your address. Sorry, your address for the record.
Your address.
3504 Hawthorne Court.
Thank you. Okay, who is here to speak?
I'm David Kent, I'm the owner.
Okay, sir. When you get up here, if you'll raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And what is your street address?
3505 Hawthorne Court.
Okay. All right, sir.
First thing I want to do is apologize to Bob and Heidi for ongoing nuisance. It has been a problem. My wife and I both are not living on 4th Avenue. She's living in Louisville. We have been both tending elderly parents. My mother has since died. My wife is still living in Louisville, taking care of her mother, so there's nobody living in Hawthorne Court. And I apologize to the code enforcement officer too. I've meant to get in touch with you since I got the citation, but it has spurred me. I've meant to get more work done on the house for some time, but I have done, as you saw, some work on the house in the last couple of weeks. I have contracted with a fellow to come remove the downed dead tree in the driveway and to start working on the bamboo. I have removed some of the ivy off the front of the house, and that's an ongoing project. I have gotten started on moving the cars. I have battery chargers on a couple of them, and I'm hopeful to get them moved and for sale within the next couple of weeks. And I'd like to ask if it's possible to delay the citation for a couple of months or even a month to give me a chance to make significant headway on this, on the repairs before I need to pay the fine. If not, that's no problem. But it is an ongoing and immediate problem that I'm working on. We are also hopeful to have the house on the market for sale within 2 months. So that's another spur to get this done.
Okay?
And I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay, we don't have questions right at this moment, but I'll have you have a seat and just stay up here if you don't mind. Thank you. Anyone else who wants to speak? Okay. Adam, do you have anything in response to what you've heard so far?
He did cut the grass, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to try to get in touch with me. Like I said, normally I don't like to go straight citation. I did go straight citation due to the previous case.
I would like to say something else too.
Okay. I do know that this is I live in the area, but so I know that this has been a property that has been an issue for the neighbors for a while. I just hadn't received the complaint on it, and I've been busy. So, you know, I mean, I just, you know, it needs to get cleaned up, and then once it's cleaned up, it's got to be maintained, not to let it get back into the shape before. It may have gotten cleaned up before in 2020. I don't know. But if it did, it's gotten back into the shape. So if he does get it cleaned up, he's got to make sure that he maintains the property consistently, you know, being mowed. You can't let the grass get, you know, real tall and then say, well, now I've got a letter, now I'm going to go mow it.
Okay, thank you. Sir, you wanted to come back?
Yes, I wanted to mention it regarding the previous citation in 2020. I had dealt with the issues then, and I was under the impression that I had gotten back into compliance. The fact that the case was not closed was something I wasn't aware of.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have you stay here just a moment. Do you all have any questions of him? I do. You said you've got someone contracted to have the tree removed?
Yes.
When is that contract, and when are they going to do it?
It's for some time next week. He hasn't been exact with me. It's a fellow I've hired before who has done yard work.
So next week, the tree should be removed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, sir, please have a seat. Okay, at this time, the board members, any questions that we have, or anybody you want to talk to?
So in summary, this property's been in bad condition for over 3 years. And there's still debris, trash, overgrown vegetation, dead trees, and several vehicles that are unregistered and presumably inoperable because of that. And the owner has requested that we delay imposition of any fine for at least 30 days. Is that correct from what I've heard?
That's exactly what he asked.
Okay.
Am I, are we, do I assume that the violations from 2020, and I know you don't know what the circumstances were, but was that just left dangling? Was there no resolution to 2020's citations?
So, so Daryl Townsend was the one that started this case in 2020. It was a nuisance violation for vehicles, overgrown property, vegetation, trash, and debris.
Was
Daryl passed away.
Right, but was it brought into compliance, or was the case just left?
So Daryl passed away, and the case just never
Went, okay.
His last notes had that he went over there.
And that it
There
was-
was no improvement. He sent a notice of there had been improvement, and then nothing was done for a while. He sent a notice of violation, and then I think he got sick, and nothing was in the notes after that.
There was never a citation issued?
No citation was ever issued. It was a courtesy letter.
Okay.
Then work had been done, and then apparently it stopped. So he issued a notice of violation, and then after that, there's nothing in the
Nothing in
the report
moving
after
forward.
that.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that citation was properly issued on 17 May 2023 to the respondent who is the owner of the property.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that nuisance ordinance has been violated and was committed because of all four of the conditions on our work paper. The condition of use of the premises are detrimental to the property of others or cause a substantial diminution of the value of other properties. The condition of use of the premises renders the property dangerous or detrimental to the adverse health or welfare or are offensive to the senses of residents of the community. There's a lack of maintenance. The person is allowed partially dismantle, direct junk, discarded, or non-operational motor vehicles or machines to remain on the premises for more than 15 days. The violation was observed by the officer as late as 17th of May, 2023, and there is substantial evidence in the records that the violations were permitted to exist for more than 3 years.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, this motion is carried. Who wants to do the determination of penalty?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that remedial order be issued as follows. The owner will remove debris, trash, and vegetation and dead trees and overgrowth within 30 days and all vehicles within 60 days. And that the fine be held in abeyance for 60 days.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, I'm going to read it off. J. Scott Judy?
Aye.
Okay. Ron Kaiser? No, he's not here. Clayton? Did you vote
Aye.
yes? Okay, and you voted yes, okay? Okay, I voted nay.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can I
sir.
make a second motion?
Yes, sir, you may make a second motion.
I'd make a motion that if the stipulations to the first motion are not met within 60 days, that a lien be placed on the property.
Not met in 60 days? Is that what you said?
Well, that's what we gave him on the vehicles.
Okay, in 60 days, a lien be put on the property. Okay? We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay? We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, the motion's carried. Okay, what will the civil fine be? Did we give it a dollar amount?
It's 150 right now.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kent, do you understand what has just been passed here? That you have 30 days to remove all the growth, the overgrowth, get rid of everything that's the greenery, all the different things that you have there. And then you have 60 days to remove the vehicles. And if that's all done, then it will be held in abeyance, the fine. If it is not done, the second motion was that within that 60 days, Adam will be following, then the lien will be put on that home.
I understand.
All right, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking care of this. Okay? And we are moving on to the next case. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming in.
So the next case is citation number 699. This is 6114 Park Road in Crestwood, Kentucky. The owner on record is a Newton farmer of 945 Barrett Avenue in Louisville. This hearing was not requested. This is the general location. It is in Park Lake subdivision off of Highway 146. This is a violation of the Oldham County Nuisance Ordinance 89-800-846, Sections 1 and 2. So this is a photo from May the 17th that was taken. The picture on the left is the overgrowth of the grass. It's reached the height of the top of the mailbox. And the picture on the right is kind of down the side with a pile of debris back there also. There's overgrowth all in the backyard also. I didn't go back there and get pictures. This has a pretty lengthy case history. To the left, you have the incident summary for this case. In 2018, a courtesy letter was sent to this property for vegetation and vehicle. That case was closed September of 2018. I would like to say that I do believe that the house is vacant and no one lives there. It does appear to be an abandoned home. On July 29th of 2018, once again, a notice of violation was sent for the grass for the vegetation. It was, I guess, mowed and closed in August of 2019. On April of 2022, I sent a courtesy letter for the grass being too tall. He did come out and mow the grass, so that was closed on May the 17th of 2022. And then I got a call this year, once again, for the vegetation and the debris. This time I did issue the citation. Citation number 699 was issued on May the 18th. Here is a copy of the citation. I did place the citation on the door, and it was sent by certified mail on May the 18th. I have not received that back yet, that he had received it. This property has had a history of not being properly maintained. I've received numerous complaints from the neighbors, and the owner has been issued several warnings to maintain the property. I've been told I've been told the neighbors try to keep the vegetation under control. They've been going out and cutting the grass, but it has gotten to be an ongoing issue for them. As of June the 6th, 2023, so as of yesterday, I went by, all the vegetation was cut, the debris was removed, and as far as the vegetation go, the property is not currently in violation. I guess something we have to talk about, so it's in compliance now. I do know there are homeowners from the subdivision that want to come up and talk about the house, because me and Matt have talked a little bit about that, and I know I didn't issue a citation for that. But I know some of the homeowners here to talk to y'all.
Okay.
Here's a couple more pictures of the house. I'm sorry, I didn't know that, I forgot these. Showing where, the condition of the house, which I didn't do anything about, but more condition of the property. Okay?
Okay, and who do you have to speak?
So I know the president of the HOA is here, and I think one of the neighbors is here.
Okay. All right, who wants to be first? All right, sir, we're going to have you come up, give us your name and address, raise your right hand.
My name is Tim Pate. I live at 6206 Camden Circle. It's in Camden Manor, which is the adjoining subdivision to Park Lake. We are part of the same homeowners association together, but represent two different neighborhoods. Did I leave anything out?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thanks. First of all, I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to come speak with you all today. I know you've got a job to do, and it's appreciated. Oh, sorry. Is that any better? Okay. Thank you. I'll just start off there. I've been involved in the homeowners association for our subdivisions for over 10 years. I've held various offices and been the president for the last 5. This property has been a constant issue, and we have really struggled to try to find the best way to bring a long-term solution to this problem. And I really hope I can get some direction on the best way to handle this moving forward, because it kind of creates a vicious cycle where residents are told not to mow the grass, so the county can issue citations, and then it gets to a point where somebody's trying to sell a home, or somebody has a party, or someone just gets tired of looking at it, so they take it upon themselves to mow it themselves. I myself have mowed the property on numerous occasions, just because I got tired of hearing all the complaints and everything getting stuck in this cycle. So, yes, it is mowed now, but it was mowed by a neighbor across the street who's trying to sell their property, and they can't sell it. They've shown the home many times over the last month, and every single person that comes and looks at that house sees the house across the street and mentions it as a problem. I feel for those people, especially the people that are adjacent to the property. I can't give you the full history of how far back this goes personally, and I don't want to operate off of what I heard or what I think I know, but there are some other people here that are homeowners adjacent to that property or across the street that can speak more directly. But I'm very concerned with the property itself. We're talking about what lies on the outside of the property and what visually is wrong. There's a lot more wrong on the inside. The house has been abandoned over 10 years. There's been reports, the police have been called there multiple times because young adults or children were breaking in the rear of the house through the door, and police had gone in there to clean them out of there several times. And I'm not even going to speculate what was going on, but there's holes in you can't really see it from the pictures there, but there's holes in the side of the roof where animals have been going in and out. And I've been told that there's a lot of mold inside the house. So it's been abandoned for 10 years. There's no telling what kind of condition it's in. And I don't know the best way to go from here, because if we're talking about the condition of the yard versus what's going on inside of that house and it being a health hazard for the people that live close to it. So I welcome any direction you can give us. I just really hope we can gain some traction on this and find a long-term solution.
I'm going to give you, right now where we are, we've talked about the nuisance complaint, which was brought before the board today, and we'll make a decision on that in a few minutes. I would like to listen to the other folks, and then we're not going to be able to address any of those things yet today, because we have to work with the county staff to help us get some things going. It could be that it's an abandoned property, it's dilapidated, I don't know. But we can't address it right now with what we have at this moment. We want to hear what you have to say, so we can come forward with a better thing than just working with the grass cutting.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you all have any other questions of me at this point?
Is there a homeowners association fee?
Yes. It's
Is
very
it-
minimal.
Is it paid annually?
No, it's not. I don't have the records in front of me, but I'm confident in stating that I'm fairly certain it is not current for this property.
Has there a lien been placed?
No, not at this point. Not to my, no. We don't have any open liens that I'm aware of. But I will, it's a very good question, and I will touch base with our treasurer to see, what type of outstanding amount there is on the property.
Is there any sections in your homeowners association bylaws that state how to deal with abandoned properties?
We can place a lien on the property. That's about all we can do. And of course, that can get expensive. We have a very minimum homeowners association fee, and we are operating in the red every year. So we can address it, but there's just not a lot of bite, for lack of a better term, into what we can do. Which is why the property has been maintained by the residents for the most part. Now, they have cut a few times, to my knowledge, but for the most part, it's mostly been taken care of by the neighbors that are sick of looking at it.
Is there a section in your bylaws that state about non-kept land? Can you
Yes.
have that mowed and then charge that back to the homeowner?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Was there someone else who wanted to speak today? Please come up.
Yes.
I'm a little nervous, so.
Okay, put your mic down so that we can hear you. We need your name and address.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And your name, please,
Teresa Cook.
and your address.
My property is at 6117 Park Road, which is directly catty corner across the street
Okay.
from this property. I've just had cataract surgery too, so I have to put readers on. To kind of reiterate what Tim was saying, I've owned my property since 2002. So I know the background history of this property and the previous owner. When she was there, the house was not in good repair shape on the inside or out as well. She housed 15, 20 cats. And I know of 2 incidences at the time she was living where she broke a bone, EMS went in, come right back out of the house, got masks, gloves, and gowns on before they went back in. Animal control, after she had been in hospital, we complained there was so many cats in the house, went in to retrieve the animals. One person went in immediately, back out, gloves, gown, and mask to go in. That's when she was living. She died in 2014, and she was in a home before that. So as Tim said, this house has been totally abandoned since 2014. The grass and the overgrowth and vegetation's been an ongoing issue, just like Tim said. The property to the right of her house and to the left of that house get field mice, bugs, all kinds of critters going to their house from that property. I've been personally asked by the police about young people going in, seeing them going into the back of the house and doing whatever they're doing in there. It's a big concern. I mean, I can only imagine, and I know you all can't do anything about it. I'm just appreciate the fact that you're hearing us out. The holes in that wall that Tim mentioned, rain has got to go into the living room and on there. So I imagine the ceilings are falling down. It is a safety hazard in the neighborhood, big time. I can only guess mold's in there, in the walls. You go abandon all these hot summers we have with no air, the walls are going to come down. Drywall's not going to stay. I'm really concerned for the neighborhood. Mr. Magnum, which is my next door neighbor at 6115, as Tim said, is trying to sell his home. I personally yesterday seen a prospective buyer get out of her car and look at that property for like 8 seconds before she even went to look at the house that's being sold. So I really feel for him or any of the rest of us that have any interest, if you do, of selling our property. So this property is not only, in my opinion, abandoned, a nuisance, it is bringing down my property values and everyone else in the neighborhood. And I'm sure as homeowners, you can understand where I'm coming from on that. It's a big concern, not only for me, but for everybody in the neighborhood. So that's all. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No. Thank you.
No.
Okay, Jim, I need a little guidance here. Adam, if you'll come back up, we need, because you said that the property's in compliance right now, so we're going to just close it for the nuisance.
So
For the
are you
property.
gonna close it and make him pay the fine, or are you gonna close it and not make him pay the fine? The property was in violation when I wrote the citation.
Can I ask question?
Yes.
Couple of questions. Do we know the ownership status of the property?
So I have sent letters in the past to the owner. The owner has never contacted me. I send him a letter. So I'll get a complaint on the property. I'll go out and look at it. The grass will be that tall. I'll send him a letter. He'll go cut it. And then a couple months later or something.
Or
Tim
somebody
will-
goes, cuts it.
Or they go cut it.
Yeah.
Tim will call me and say, Adam, that property's gotten out of hand. I'll go out, look at it. I'll send a notice of violation to the owner. Then he sends out and cuts it. And it seems like the only time he would do anything to the property is when I threatened to do something. And so I sent the citation. Like he said, the neighbors cut the front yard, but the guy did come out and cut all the greenery away from the house. But it took me sending him a letter. It took me, and he's never contacted me. So I've got to send him a letter to get him to respond in any way. And, you know, the hopes would have been that he would have contacted me and I could have told him, you know, we've got other issues here. I don't even know if he ever comes out to the property. I couldn't tell you.
Do we consider this a first violation? Because he
Thi-
cuts the grass and then he
This
violates it
would
again?
be a first violation because from the case history on the property, he's never received a citation by anyone else. So this would be the first citation he's been issued. I have sent him other letters, but he would always correct the issue before it got to citation. And like Tim said, I would get a lot of calls about the grass being tall, and I'd go over there and it would be cut, and Tim would say, well, the neighbors cut it. And that's when I did tell Tim, I said, Tim, I can't send a letter out. There's nothing for me to send a letter on if your neighbors are going to keep going over and cleaning the property up. And he said, well, they don't want to do it. And I said, well, tell them not to cut it. Let it get a little tall, and then I can send a letter out. I can you know, there's something there. I know I've talked to Matt today about possibly doing things for the holes in the roof, but I think that's something that we're discussing now.
Yeah, and
Please
I'm going
do,
to go
'cause
back to, I don't think you want to just dismiss this case when there's a repeat history and there's also other building
I'm not trying
issues.
to, right, I'm not trying to dismiss it, but how do we get to, it's a dilapidated building, how do we get to those things?
I have a question, Madam Chair, too. Do we know how Newton Farmer came to own the property? Was the property bequeathed?
I do not know. I haven't looked into it. I don't know. I just know he's the owner on record.
So was the original owner
A farmer?
kin to him? It was his mother or his mother? Okay.
Okay, so it's probably,
Okay.
So you've really never heard from the owner at all? He's never
Not one
responded
time.
to you?
Not
at
one
all
time.
In all this time? I assume that there are no utilities connected? And do we know if he's paid his county taxes? Is that?
We
I
don't
believe
know
the
that,
tax
and
bill
that
is paid
really,
up.
It's kind of not the purview of the code board as far as taxes being paid.
Well, I think it raises an interesting point about the grass being mowed. If your neighbor mows it and you didn't mow it, does that absolve you of the violation? Because if you didn't bring it into compliance, it seems to me that the citation still holds merit.
Well, let me interject here. There was a citation issued on May the 18th of 2023. The first thing that I think the board should consider is that the property owner did not request this hearing. So under a strict reading of the statute, the citation becomes a final order. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't place this issue on the docket and hear it like we did today, but the question is, are the allegations in the citation true? There's no real question as to were they corrected within a certain amount of time. I mean, those are issues that the board considers for purposes of mitigation and working with people, but there's no requirement that the board dismiss any violation that is proven by the evidence. So if the board is satisfied by the testimony of Mr. Bear about the contents of the May 18th citation, then I think the board can find that there was a violation at that time, and it does not matter what the condition of the property is today.
I agree. So I move that the citation was issued properly on, lost my place, May 18th. To the property owner.
A second.
we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Motion carries.
I would also like to move that the property is in violations of the nuisance ordinance. The condition of the premises is detrimental to the property of others, substantial diminution of the property value of others. According to the statute 89-800-846, subsection 1, section, or for B, the condition in the premises renders the property dangerous. Also, not only to the property itself, but the health and welfare of the other residents of the community. And that the violation was observed by the officer that issued the citation.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
So his citation already carries a fine, so we don't have to determine another penalty. Is that correct?
But I would like to move that a property owner owes, that fine is immediately due. If it's not paid within 5 business days, that it is, a lien be placed on the property.
I'll second.
And then,
Just let me say, 5 days, if we send something out by mail, which is typically the way we do it, give at least 5 business days or 7
yes, 5 business days,
Yep.
yes. And that after the confirmation of the letter, I'm assuming it'll be sent certified, will it?
So I've got to say, I mean,
I don't normally send final order certified. I can send it certified. The certified letter that I sent 3 weeks ago, he still hasn't gotten. I haven't received proof that it's been received.
That's the only thing is how do we set a time frame for when he's supposed to have it paid?
I don't think it's going to make any difference whether it's 5 days or 5 months.
So everything I've sent to him, because
I think we need to go ahead and set the timeline, set the fine, and really what's going to end up happening is it's going to kick into the lien.
Yeah.
So I'll second your motion.
And I was going to add for additional days after, if it hasn't been paid within the 5 business days, that additional citations would be issued of violation. Because we're saying that it'll get mowed and then it won't be mowed. So I'm saying that each time when you check or someone calls, that is a new occurrence of a citation.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Madam Chair, in the past, I know that we have referred different cases to the county attorney's office. Did you have anything in mind like that for this case?
Well, we're already talking about what I like to call the nuclear option, and that is to basically foreclose on these liens. Typically, we have not done it in the past because when there are liens, there are other mortgages or liens that are being enforced by other entities, mortgage companies or HOAs, that kind of thing. This may be a case that would be appropriate for a request to fiscal court to approve a foreclosure. And Adam and I will talk about that, and we'll talk about what has to happen before we go that route. But the main thing is that we have a valid lien against the property, and it sounds like that's the direction that we're headed after today.
Okay, anything else? Okay,
On this case, you mean?
yes, on this case.
Again, there's the, and I'm not sure exactly where Adam and I talked about the condition of the house itself. And not just the grass, but there are visible holes in the, kind of in the roof line, in the fascia of the separation of the roofs. There are the condition of the front of the building. I mean, these are all related to a diminution of adjoining property. I think we should make some kind of decision about that as well.
Yep.
Again, every once in a while, one rises to a level of more severity. And in this case, where there's not been any real contact from the property owner, Adam has testified, the mail he sends out doesn't get responded. You haven't had any phone calls returned, or we don't have any communication. So I think and Matt, tell me if this is within the jurisdiction of the board, that now that we're in this position, that we take some other direction from the code board, the staff does, on remediation of other conditions, not just cutting the grass.
Thank you.
Well, if I understand the question correctly, I think the answer is that the nuisance ordinance is very broad, and it can be used to enforce, for example, the things that we see in this picture. If the conditions that are shown affect the property values around, I think the nuisance ordinance fits. I don't think it has to be based strictly on vegetation or grass or junk in the yard.
Well,
Matt, would it be helpful for us to make those actions in support, knowing that it would go to fiscal court in the future?
Well, I don't know I don't really believe that it's required that the board adopt or endorse any particular action. I think if fiscal court knows that there's a valid lien that can be enforced, I think they can make that determination on their own without code board recommendation, but it wouldn't do any harm. And that's really what we do in a lot of these cases, things that are not required, but don't do any harm.
And my point of view is the nuisance KOC 89-800-846, Section 2 talks about
Right.
duty of maintenance of private property. We've been talking about cutting the grass. There are other conditions. So, if it's interest, because we've got people here who are speaking about an ongoing condition and diminution of property values of surrounding properties, do you want to take any kind of give direction to Adam regarding what to do about the rest of the issues on the property? So the condition of the building is where I was going.
Do we need it in a recommendation, or would you like it in a motion?
I'd like it in a motion.
I'd make a motion that our code enforcement officer do a full assessment of all of the situations on this property that may fall within the, any of the ordinances enforceable by the
No.
code enforcement board.
What I was hoping you were going to say is issue a citation regarding these, because we've done an assessment.
And,
that
and,
you've
and
got-
that's where I'm going with it.
Okay, great.
Yes, and for each one of those violations that, it be issued the, what word am I looking for? Jim, you threw me off. The citation be issued on each one of those violations.
Because we've already addressed that the property renders the property dangerous or detrimental to health, welfare, and are offensive to the senses. So we should expect a number of citations. If this property looks like, it sounds like it looks like.
Is there some other county agency that could inspect the home inside and out? Do they have that right?
We don't have the right of entry, no. So it's a visual inspection from, as best we can see from the street.
Okay, on the motion for the staff to go back out and look at all of that, do you have a timeline?
Oh, sure. Yes. Can you get it done in the next week? Okay. So I'd say give him 1 week from today.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you. For all the neighbors, we thank you all for coming in, and we'll get this rolling.
No.
Well, probably ought to get one. You gotta be able to take a picture.
So next up is citation number 700. This has an address of 7401 Hemlock Avenue in Crestwood, Kentucky. The owner on record is Pamela D. Elkins of 7401 Hemlock Avenue in Crestwood. This hearing was not requested. This is the general location of the property in question. It is in the Lake Louisville area, off of Highway 146, off Highway 22. This is a violation of the Oldham County nuisance ordinance, KOC 89-800-846, Sections 1 and 3, and a violation of the Oldham County zoning ordinance 280-100 residential uses, which states that no person shall keep any auto, truck, trailer, or boat unlicensed for the current year in any residentially zoned area. This is a incident summary that you all have for the property in question. This case does go back quite some time. I believe the first time I spoke to Mr. Elkins was in 2000, which was last year when this case started. In 2022, while working through the Lake Louisville area properties, I spoke with Tony about the need to clean up the property. Since that time, I have issued a courtesy letter, a notice of violation, and now a citation. I have made numerous extensions on timelines for the compliance of the property. Tony would have a reason for the property not being cleaned up each time we spoke and would tell me he is working on it.
Items on the property continue to be moved around, and it has been difficult to document every visit. Following is some pictures taken over the last several months. This has been a difficult property for me to work. This picture was taken November of 2022. The picture on the left, you can see it's just kind of a general picture overview of the property. The picture on the right is that the house is on the left. This picture's on the right. He's got that building up there. You can see all the junk, debris, the truck all the way back in the back by the woods line, and several trailers on the property. Once again, this is down the road just a little bit. Looking through the fence, there's a bobcat back there, some more trailers, and again, junk and debris all over the property back there. And then just to the right of that picture would be there were some vehicles parked right along the roadway there. And you can see tires and debris laying up along the front of the fence. Again, this is from 2022, kind of looking at the property. You can see all the vehicles parked along the fence, the house all the way back up there. And this is a picture, the picture on the right is looking up his driveway towards his house. I did issue a courtesy letter on December the 1st regarding the nuisance ordinance. On December the 20th, Tony informed me that he and his wife had been sick, but had removed some of the vehicles and sold two. They had sold two more, waiting to be picked up by individuals. On January the 17th, Tony informed me that he had removed one more vehicle and was waiting for the ground to dry out to continue the progress of cleaning the property up. These are some pictures that were taken December the 20th. You can see there's no vehicle now going towards the garage, but you can see all the junk and debris that's back up through there. Again, these were taken on December the 20th. None of the vehicle all the way back towards the fence line, the truck back there, it's still there. Still trailers, all the junk and debris behind the fence up by the garage. And then the picture on the right, like I said, the Bobcat's now over there. You see some trailers, trucks, just all around the property. On January the 17th, I rode out there. I took some pictures. Some of these are a little closer up, trying to get a better idea of what was there. You can see trucks, a tow truck, and again, this is looking kind of away from the house, the picture on the left. The picture on the right is a close-up of what's up by the garage. You can see all the junk, sheet metal, tires, just stuff laying all over back there. On March the 28th, I drove by. The property was still in violation. Items and vehicles appeared to be being moved around on the property, but very little appeared to be done to bring the property into compliance. I had made several attempts to contact the owners to discuss cleaning up the property and continued to get no response or excuses on why it was not done. So on March the 30th, I did issue a notice of violation. These pictures are taken on March the 28th. Again, you can see all the vehicles right here. This is looking up towards the garage. If you look back on the garage, all that junk and debris is still there. You can kind of look over the fence right there from the road, and you can see a red truck back there behind in the fence area. Again, these were taken on March the 28th. The picture on the left shows the vehicles on trailers, the red truck with the black hood, all the junk and debris laying back there. And once again, the picture on the right, kind of a different angle looking through the fence. Again, the picture on the left right here, you see the truck all the way back in the back. That one has not moved since December. Again, trailers in the yard. The picture on the right kind of shows all the debris still up by the side of the garage. Again, on the 20th, this is kind of a closer up on what's, right there by the garage that you can see. This is coming from the house looking towards the garage. The picture on the right on the 28th, a big pile of gravel had been dumped there. There's some buckets out front and, looks like 3 vehicles in the fenced-in area. This is a copy of the notice of violation that was issued. On May the 17th, an inspection was confirmed that the property still remained in violation.
You had junk, trash, debris remain scattered throughout the property. Several vehicles were in violation, remain on the property. There were numerous trailers being parked on the property. On my visit on May the 17th, I counted 15 vehicles parked, 6 trailers, a skid steer along with lumber, buckets, tires, other types of building material, and more scattered all around the property. The picture on the right is looking at kind of the lean-to area. You can see it's full of trash and junk all through there. All this can be seen from the roadway. All these pictures are taken from me standing on the road. Picture to the left, again, you know, just vehicles, stuff. The pile of gravel, a trailer parked right there on the left. Just to the right of that, again, you still got all the lumber, junk, and debris up there by the garage that hadn't been moved. You can still see that truck right there. Doesn't look like it's been moved. This is another picture kind of looking up through that little cutout by the garage where you can see all the junk and debris laying around. There's another trailer right there on the right. Picture on the right shows vehicles, trailers parked in the yard. Vehicles up in the driveway, which, you know, they're okay, but I mean, just vehicles and trailers everywhere. Once again, this picture on the left on the 17th, you see the truck with the red camper all the way back there. That's been there in the same picture, hasn't moved since December of 2022, so you're looking at 5 or 6 months. To the right, you still see tires, junk, debris piled up. It's all piled up back there by the garage. Citation number 700, I did issue on May the 19th. I hand-delivered it to Tony Elkins. This is the current condition as of June the 6th. I wrote out there yesterday. In the citation, to go back to that, I did something I hadn't put in the courtesy letter or the notice of violation. I did find the ordinance as far as zoning requiring autos, trucks, and trailers and boats to be licensed. I didn't put that in the other one. It took me a while to find that one. This is the current condition as of June the 6th. Junk, trash, debris scattered around the property. Vehicles that appear inoperable were still located. Several trailers and other equipment that are not properly stored. Again, this is yesterday's picture. You can go, all the lumber's still right in front of the garage. The junk behind that little lean-to. The red truck right there with that road sign. Doesn't appear that it's been moved. All the junk with the blue trash can. The picture on the right, all the stuff up against the side of the garage. This is kind of looking down the pile of gravel out front, the blue truck, the red truck, the trailers. The picture on the right still has the black vehicle with the red camper on it. Required for compliance, the junk, trash, and debris and the building material needs to be removed or properly stored. This includes the area behind the fence. We have had me and Tony had a disagreement on whether all that stuff can just be piled behind the fence. And like we've talked before at previous code enforcements, you know, if it can be seen from the road or a neighboring property, it's got to be cleaned up. The vehicles and trailers that are non-running or unlicensed for the current year need to be removed, garaged, or concealed from the road and neighboring properties. I do know that you do have some neighbors here in support, and I believe Tony's here also. Any questions?
Not at the moment. Okay, who would you like to call up first? Who's coming? Who are the? For support? For support. Okay, I can only take one at a time. Okay. Is anyone else going to speak besides you?
I don't think so.
Okay, because we can swear them all at the same time if you want. All righty.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
I do.
Thank
Name,
you.
please.
Mike Grider,
Ryder, and what is your address?
7700 Catalpa Drive,
Okay,
Crestwood.
and where does it fit into this property?
It's just up the street.
Okay,
The roads kind of intermingle, change names quickly.
okay.
So, as you can see, the pictures do not do this property justice, it's much worse. You know, we've been trying for some time, and I know the code enforcement officer has been back there and made great strides, but it's very hard and difficult to get others to comply when they drive through that. And you got to remember, well, there's no way around it. You drive through that every day. You know, so all I can ask is that we get it cleaned up. You know, it wasn't that way when the property was purchased. In fact, it was quite the opposite. It can be cleaned up with just very little effort. But I know the code enforcement officer has been working on this now for some time, but it's been much longer than that, than we've been dealing with this. Yeah, and I appreciate everything that you all have done to help us get that area cleaned up. And it can be done with just a little effort. Now, there are neighbors here that have made great strides in cleaning up back there. And I know you all know some of that. But it's very difficult when we have to drive through that every day. And we do. I've had my windows shot out. I've been cussed in the street. I've been, you know, but I'm not giving up. So I hope you all will do what we need to do to help me get this cleaned up. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak on behalf? No? Okay. Mr. Elkins, do you want to come up and speak?
He come by there today, he just seen more than what's showing.
Well, give me just a minute.
Go
Let's
ahead.
follow a process, okay?
Go ahead.
Pull the mic down just a little bit. Give us your name,
Tony Elkins,
your address,
7401 Hemlock Avenue.
raise your right hand. And
Do you solemnly swear or
your left.
affirm that the testimony you are about to give this board is true and accurate to the best of your belief and knowledge?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir?
It looks
Thank you.
better today, it does. I have got stuff the whole way, and my son's got some trucks to get rid of. But, you know, he's talking about trailers. Kentucky, you don't have to have tags on trailers, not unless you're running a business. I ain't running a business. And most of them trucks has got tags on them, besides I think 2 of them. So, you know, and he's talking about behind the fence. You can't see that. He stood on his truck when he took the pictures that day.
Sir,
So,
please tell what you need to say.
I am.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, he stood on the truck when he took the pictures that day. He said the neighbors next door and I don't see it. I went in their yard and took pictures. You can't see none of it.
Well, do you have a lot of junk and debris?
I got some stuff behind the fence. Yeah, it needs to go.
Okay.
You can barely see it from the edge.
But if you can see it from the road,
Well, you can if you really want to look
Then
at
it
but
has
you know-
to be
you know what
moved.
I'm saying? Yeah. Well, I'm going to. I done told him I was going to do it. It's piled up
Perfect.
copper wire and other stuff.
perfect, as long as
Yeah.
you're going to clean up
Yeah, I'm
everything.
going to, yeah.
And get rid of those 15 cars or
Well, it
vehicles.
ain't, a lot of them cars got tags, I just told you. There's, I think 2 without tags. And trailers, you don't have to have tags on trailers in Kentucky.
But if they're carrying junk on them,
They're not getting, what's
Mm-hmm.
on them? That truck, it's been gone. It's been gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
and you've got a garage or something where you can put away the extra vehicles,
If they got tags, I don't have to put them up. If they had tags, you don't have to put them in the garage. As long as they run and drive.
you drive 15 vehicles?
But ain't 15 there now. Ain't 15 there now. He's talking about some cars I got behind the fence. Like I said, he stood on his truck to get
Okay.
the pictures that I'm
But
using parts
what I'm
off of.
saying, can you see those vehicles when you're
No, you
behind
can't.
the
He stood
fence?
on his truck, took pictures that day.
Mm-hmm.
My son watched him.
Well, we're going to ask you to clean up all the mess.
I'm going to, yeah. I've been
Even-
doing it. It looks a lot better today than it did. I knew
Oh,
that.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And I know
But
that
he's
you're
trying to
going
make me really look bad with the pictures he's showing you, but it's not like that.
No, Mr. Elkins, everybody's trying to work on their properties.
Yeah.
And we know you want to make your neighborhood look as
Yeah.
good as
Well, we're
everybody
going to. We won't
else's.
sell it anyway. We won't get out there. It's nothing. It
Well-
ain't been nothing but drama in there.
Well, then if you have, then
I've
you
been
know.
beaten and robbed and whooped and all that.
Well, we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
But we do want the area cleaned up.
Could I ask another question while I'm here?
Sure.
Can you run a business back in a residential area?
What are you calling running a business?
Right there, they run an illegal business back there, wood place and all. They're dumping wood back there and all that. Them 2 right there.
Well, let's stick to your case, and then we'll address the
Ma'am.
other case later, okay?
Well, he said they could do it. He said they could do that.
Well, we're here to talk about
Yeah,
what's
that's
yours,
okay.
okay? So you're saying you're going to clean up your property
Yeah, I'm
and?
going to, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
been working on it.
Okay. Well, then we'll proceed forward. Do you have any other things you want to add at the moment?
No.
All right, sir. I'm going to ask you
All
to
right.
take a seat, please.
Madam Chair, I have a question of Adam.
Yes, sir. Who's the question to? To Adam?
Adam, what time of the day were you there yesterday?
Let me go back. I think the picture actually, so I was there at
12:30.
12:22. It's
Okay.
got the time on the picture.
Okay.
So around 12:30, 12:20.
In taking those pictures, did you do anything extraordinary that you wouldn't have done in any other situations?
Not on the pictures taken June the 6th. I had taken pictures where sitting down in my truck, to where I kind of stood. When I get out of my truck, I stand, instead of standing on the road, I stand on the, I open the
boards.
door and stand on the floorboard and take the picture that way. So I've taken several pictures that way from other properties.
I don't know that would make any difference. I'm just curious, you know.
This, I would like to say this has been an ongoing thing. I've been told over and over that he's going to get it cleaned up. And as you can see from the pictures going back from November to, so you're 6 months. And, you know, he may get rid of a vehicle here, a vehicle there, but it's not the same. It's just not, it's not getting better at all. And I try to work with people, and I think you all know that. And then on the trailer aspect, so we do, I want to know, so the vehicles and trailers that are non-running or unlicensed, that is straight out of our ordinance for the county, that trailers on the property either have to be stored out of sight, so you can have them unlicensed, but if they are unlicensed, they have to be stored out of sight from the road or any public view. Otherwise, they do have to have a license for Oldham County. And that's the ordinance, and unless I'm reading that wrong, Matt, I believe that's the way the ordinance reads. So if it's going to be parked in the yard, it does need to be a licensed trailer.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question, Mr. Elkins.
Oh, Mr. Elkins, could you please come back up, please?
The one I want to make sure of, Mr. Elkins, are you saying that you aren't in violation, that you're in compliance with your property of what you've been cited for?
Trailers, yeah, my trailers, you don't have to have tags in Kentucky. You don't have to have them stored somewhere. I've never heard of that. They've got trailers in their yard set, and they pull them without tags all the time.
Well, as far as because there were,
There is a couple of trucks there, yeah, they're getting ready to go.
okay, so that's what I'm saying. Are you
My-
saying
my
that
son- My son's trying to buy some property now where he can move. They're his trucks.
but as far as the first one, lumber, junk, debris,
It's some wood, lumber for a house piled in front of my door, yes. It is.
okay, so,
I can put it on his carport right there, whatever.
okay, so you would say that you agree that there is an issue with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Of non-operational vehicles, you said that there were some, two.
Most of them got tags. Most of them got tags. I think there's 2 of them without tags.
Okay. And then as far as, there was the 3, so non-operational vehicles, you said that, and then the keeping of the truck that weren't licensed. So you said you had 1, or was it 2 that weren't
I'm getting ready to
licensed?
jump one, yeah, those
Okay.
are my sons, yeah.
So as far as maybe the severity of the way the officer had stated it, you're saying that you don't necessarily disagree?
I do with him on some of them. As far as trailers, yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Does that to be tagged? No, you don't have to tag trailers. Not running a business. I ain't running a business.
Well, I do think that maybe we need some further guidance on that one, because I don't know the answer
If
to
I put
that.
tags, I'll put tags, and I'll line them all up down the yard.
Yeah, I have a trailer, I don't have a license
I'll put
for
tags,
it.
I'll line them all up down the yard. You
So,
know,
yeah, I can see your stance on that. I just want to make sure
yeah.
that it
They got
seems
titles on
to,
all of them.
understood.
Okay, he's reading the ordinance.
So how many vehicles would you say are operational?
There's two that ain't.
That aren't, but how many?
Behind the fence, like I said, he stood on his truck. He didn't stand on the door. He got up on the back up, and the son watched him.
Understood.
So,
But
and
so
you
how,
can't see him from the neighbor's house either.
so about approximately how many? Understood. But
and
so
you
how,
can't see him from the neighbor's house either.
so about approximately how many would you say you
But
have?
like I said, I'm getting ready to get rid of them too.
Okay, so approximately how many would you say you had?
About 4 I'm getting ready to jump.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions.
I have a question. There's a garage back there. Is there any way you can put some of these vehicles in that garage?
I got vehicles in the garage.
So there's
Like I
no
said-
more
like I said,
room,
my
there's no
trucks
room,
got-
there's no room in the garage for you to
A lot of
put?
them trucks got tags.
It doesn't matter whether they got tags. We're asking if you can clean up the area and put them somewhere.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that stuff. I'll back them right behind that fence, whatever I got to do.
Well, you've been given 6 months to do it, and you still
I
haven't.
did
So we're just
something. I work
asking
for a
you,
living. I don't have time to
asking you to
ride
put them away and hide them.
I work. I don't have time to ride around and harass people all the time. You know, I have to work.
Mr. Elkins, we understand that.
Yeah.
And the reality is, those things are on your property.
Yeah.
And so we're asking you that they have to be cleaned up. If it's a trailer sitting out there with a pile of stuff on it,
Yeah.
get rid of it.
No. No.
What we're also talking about is those things behind the fence, if they can be seen,
They can't understand on truck.
you just kind of have to give us a little break here.
Yeah.
If they can be seen by anyone, your neighbors or whatever, then it has to be cleaned up.
Yeah. I walked over my neighbors, talked to them. They can't see nothing nowhere.
Well, there's a lot of things out there that need to be taken care of,
Yeah.
and I know you're going to get it done.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to clean up. I want to move out there anyway.
Well, you do want to clean that up,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're going to start having some things you don't want happening there
Yeah.
if you don't get that
A
cleaned
lot
up
of people
soon.
live in there, or a few of them, they should have moved to Briar Hill instead of moving where they moved at. You know, because Lake LaVille has been Lake LaVille all its life, you know. So.
Lake Louisville used to be a beautiful, beautiful
It
place.
is. My mom and dad lived there.
Mhm.
Yeah. It still is.
Mhm.
Believe me, my house worked on a lot of them in there.
Well, let's get all this stuff cleaned up and you'll be able to
Right,
sell it.
right.
Okay, sir, we'll let you have a seat. Thank
Right.
you. Thank you. Okay, where are we going next?
Let me make a few comments about the nuisance ordinance. I think it's important for the board to maintain an overall approach to what they see in these photographs and not get distracted by issues about whether vehicles are operable or if they're licensed and registered and that kind of thing. Because if you look at a property like this, you can just go back to the first part of the nuisance ordinance, talks about any condition or any use of a premises that is detrimental to the property values of others. So theoretically, a person could have all operable, properly licensed vehicles and no trailers. But if they're using the property in a way that harms the value of their neighbors, then potentially they could be in violation of this ordinance. So don't be distracted by these issues about what has to have registration and what doesn't. And there is a separate section of the ordinance that talks about non-operable vehicles, but that's just part of the ordinance. It doesn't mean that you can't look at vehicles as how vehicles might be used to violate the other section of the nuisance ordinance.
Thank you. Does that help, Mr. Elkins? Okay. All righty. Let's move forward.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that the citation was properly issued on May the 19th to the owner of the property.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion,
I'll also make a motion
Here.
that a violation of the Oldham County nuisance ordinance was committed because of all four of these conditions. The condition of use of the property or detrimental to the property of others and causes or tends to cause substantial diminution in the value of their properties in the community, storage of any of the following junk, lumber, limbs, trash, etc. B, the condition or use of the premises renders the property dangerous or detrimental or the adverse to the health or welfare of the offensive senses of the residents of the community. Property maintenance, overgrown property, lack of maintenance on the home, pools, other structures. C, the person has allowed partially dismantled, wrecked, junk, discarded, or non-operational motor vehicles or machines to remain on the property for more than 15 days. And D, the violation was observed by the officer on May the 19th, and there is substantial evidence in the record that the violation was permitted to exist.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, I'll also make a motion then on the citation that the fine be paid within 2 weeks of today. If the fine is not paid, then a lien will be placed on the property. And I'd like to for the homeowner to have the property in compliance within the next 90 days.
Can I say something? It probably won't matter what I do, they're still going to complain anyway. So I don't know how they are. They're still going to complain no matter what. You've been running the business.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Please, let's be quiet. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we have the final order that the fine will be paid in 2 weeks from today's date. Then, if not paid within 2 weeks from today's date, the lien will be placed on the property, and the property is to be brought into compliance within 90 days from today's date. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries. Okay, let's go to
As
civil
we've done
fine.
in other cases, can you consider another motion of what happens if it's not cleaned up within 90 days?
It'll be cleaned up.
Well, we
Just
also
to be
need,
sure.
we haven't discussed the fine. What's the dollar amount?
No, I mean, if it's not cleaned up, are you going to ask the code enforcement officer to issue additional citations or?
Yeah, I'll make a
just-
motion that the officer, if his property's not cleaned up within 90 days, to write a second citation.
On a daily basis or just one? Again, trying to get to real, what you guys want
Right.
to happen if it's not cleaned up, so we don't have cases that linger out there, so.
Right.
Direction to the staff on what to do. So
Well,
is it-
I think that you ought to visit the property once a week, and that if there continue to be violations on a weekly basis, continue to issue citations.
And again,
After the 90 days?
Yes.
from today's date. And the fines continue to go up, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
according to the schedule.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor that if the property is not cleaned up from 90 days from today's date, then the staff, the code enforcement officer, will visit the property on a weekly basis and will be issuing citations. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Mr. Elkins, do you understand what we've just done?
Each week if I ain't got something done, you find me.
No, sir, what we're saying, you've got 90 days. You've got, okay, you've got two parts. You've got 2 weeks to pay the fine. And if that fine's not paid, we're putting a lien on your property. 90 days from today, all of that property needs to be cleaned up. If it's not, then the code enforcement officer will be visiting on a weekly basis. The fines continue to go up. What?
I just need to get stuff up.
You need to clean up.
Get rid of the cars.
You need to clean it up and talk with the code enforcement officer. No, you have to listen and listen to what he's saying and get those things moved, okay? Or moved away, or hidden out, whatever, get it cleaned up. And if it's, we're not talking about that.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Look worse than mine, and he's on me.
Sir,
Go ahead.
you have 90 days from today's date to get it all done, or you can expect a weekly citation. And we don't want that for you.
Somebody else does. We done.
Yes, sir, we are. We appreciate it. Get it done. Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of more cases, and then we have another item on the agenda that we need to address.
Well, let's take care of the vote for the bylaws first, and then you
No,
can get through.
we need to vote to change the bylaws.
Right, yep.
That's on the hearing.
This is pretty simple, I can go over it. And we talked about, because Mr. Hudson is in court on Wednesdays, rather than trying to either get here or not have a counsel for us, we're suggesting that we change the bylaws. It's real simple. In our bylaws, it says that we'll meet the first Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. And all we're going to do is change that to 4 p.m. Then it becomes a regular meeting, not a special meeting. So I guess if you would consider a motion that would just simply change the meeting time from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Does a specific time have to be allocated to that?
Well, again, it's a regularly scheduled meeting,
Right.
so we don't have to advertise, because if we're meeting regularly at our regular time, it's a regular meeting.
Okay.
Last month and this month, when we change the meeting, we actually have to publish that we're having it at a special time.
Okay.
So-
The reason I ask is because if it would give you more leeway to say the afternoon.
No.
But then you'd have to publish it every time, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
So,
and again, this is so that we can,
Yeah.
have a regular time, and then, again, this is real simple, and if it gets to the point where, when the courthouse across the street is changed and Mr. Hudson can be here at 3 o'clock, if we want to go back to 3 o'clock, then we will do that. So just looking for a motion to change the time from 3 to 4
I'll
p.m.
make a motion that we change the time of the Oldham County Code Enforcement Board hearings from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and that they remain the first Wednesday of the month.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And I hate to complicate this even further, but the ordinance, which is separate from the bylaws, ordinance actually says that the meetings are held on Tuesdays. So I think fiscal court may need to.
Yes, we got to do that that has to go to fiscal court. And we're probably going to change we really need to make some changes to the ordinance period regarding nuisance and definition and things like that, so. Yeah. That's an old time. We haven't met on a Tuesday for,
Yeah, I've been here on Tuesday.
4 years at least.
well,
Who meets during
2011.
Derby week?
yeah, since 2011 when I.
I'm sorry, I missed the May meeting. I was involved.
Okay, we have a couple more items.
This is the old business, an update on what's going on, so you can catch up on what happened to me.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
So this was case 7410 Peachtree Avenue. This was Jimmy Crawford, the property with the septic issue.
Yep.
I know last month when I spoke to y'all, he didn't have a fence up. I did go, let's start with, I spoke to Charlie Ward, who agreed to a temporary repair. So yesterday I spoke to Mr. Crawford. I did go out there. He does have a fence installed around the septic tank now. Working with Charlie, we've come to an agreement that he's going to install a temporary concrete lid, kind of like what had collapsed and fallen in. And Mr. Crawford said he expects to have that done by the end of this month. So just here's a picture of the fence that he did put around so he did install some kind of a fence, and hopefully we have a temporary solution with a concrete lid by the end of this month. So I don't know if there's anything
I
else.
didn't think it could be repaired. It was,
It's a temporary,
Permanent.
it's better than what it is now. From talking to Charlie, and Charlie basically said, this definitely is not a fix, but I'd rather have that over this.
Yeah, because we specifically didn't give him permission to do that. We told him he had to redo the septic system.
Yeah, and his plan still is to do that, to have that done. But obviously, we're running, it's, you know,
He doesn't have the money.
It
doesn't
is good to work with the
So it's-
citizen.
and I take most of what,
Spend money on a lid.
I take a lot from Charlie Ward.
Permanent fix.
Yeah.
But
What's that?
He's spending money that.
Spending
we could
money
be
on a
spending
temporary
trying to
fix, he
get
could
it.
be.
Well, apparently,
putting
everything
towards a
he's getting,
permanent fix.
he's getting for free to be able to build the concrete lid from a neighbor.
I won't ask where he's getting the concrete box, but go ahead.
Okay. The next case was 7699 Catalpa Avenue. This was the property that we spoke about last month that had a lot of timelines on it. As of yesterday, I drove out there. I spoke to an individual at the residence. She informed me that Michael, which is the gentleman that was here, was having medical issues and would be calling me soon for an update on where everything's going. You do have I don't know if you all have got the final order. So the final order was 2 weeks from May the 5th to have all the debris removed off the side of the road, 60 days to get in contact with the owners of the two vehicles and have them moved out of the field. So that timeline hasn't passed. And then 90 days to rebuild the shed. So he still has time on that one. The only thing that should have been done by this meeting was the debris pile moved. Most of the debris had been moved to the burn area. Speaking to the lady that I spoke to yesterday, she said that he was down on his back and that he would be moving the rest of it as soon as he could. As of yesterday, he was unable, and as of yesterday, he was still unable to locate the owner of the two vehicles. I did take a picture of all that's left, so I don't know if you can recall, there was quite a bit of debris. This is all that's left right now is this little bit right here that's left for him to move over there. So he did move the majority of it to the burn pile. You know, I don't know if you all want to do something with the fact that this wasn't done yet, or, you know, where do y'all want me to go with that? He definitely did not meet the 2 weeks to have it all removed. He had all of it moved but that pile.
I would like to leave it at your discretion since you're keeping.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Why don't you, if you talk to him, if you know, if you can go the extra mile and finish, it won't have to make it, an issue.
If it becomes an issue that you write
Let y'all
another
know.
citation.
Okay. If it becomes an issue, write another citation? Got it. So this is 1407 Grandview Court. On the final order, you told her to reduce the number of ducks on the property to 4 within 30 days. So this one's going to get a little more complicated. I spoke with Wendy. I spoke with Wendy approximately 2 weeks ago. She informed me that she had reduced the number to 10 at that time, and she was working on getting the number to 4. Since that time, I have done 2 site visits and have not seen any duck activity and have received no complaints up to today. I spoke to Wendy today, so for a short period of time before this co-board hearing. She did say that she is having difficulty rehoming the remaining ducks that she has to bring the property into compliance, but she is continuing to try to get rid of them.
We gave her a timeline.
You gave her 30 days. My issue here is she didn't tell me how many she has today. When I drive by, like before, I didn't see any. And I haven't gotten any complaints. So I'm kind of, apparently by what she said today, I think she might still have some to rehome.
She still has 6 to rehome.
Huh?
Sounds like she has 6. Right?
2 weeks ago, she had 10 left. Today, I don't know how many she had. She didn't tell me.
How many did she start out with?
A flock.
She said 17. I think there was closer to 30. What do you?
Do we need to make a motion to extend her time? Because we need to follow up on this. The homeowners association, we know what's going to happen if she doesn't do it and if she starts getting complaints.
Well, you can consider that, or you can consider an additional citation. The problem is, Adam said he doesn't know how many are there.
I have no way of, the neighbors have told me, and I don't want to say the neighbors, people have been looking, no one that is complaining has told me they have any idea how many are there. They have seen none. I've drove by twice. Both times I drove by, I see no ducks. No one is complaining that the ducks are still there. The only way I know that she still does have ducks is she has told me that she still has ducks, and she still does have some to rehome.
You're saying you can't observe from the road ducks, or how many ducks?
No, it's duck, and they're gone.
Would we consider her in compliance if we can't see them?
Can't see them and don't have any complaints?
I would say she's in compliance, unless we see them again.
I disagree.
But I don't know that we have any way of verifying the number unless we go, and I don't think we can compel her to show us her ducks. So I would think that we,
But she hasn't met her commitment yet.
Sounds like she just needs to get them all in a row.
I knew that was coming.
I would rather
felt it coming out.
I would rather us give it another shot of trying to find out how many more ducks. Give her a few more weeks.
Give her a couple more weeks and talk to her again?
And talk to her again, because we know that the neighborhood association's watching.
And I rely on the homeowners association quite a bit for the number. And I know right now they are not, they're on, the person that I talked to is gone. They're on vacation. So I can't.
So we need to extend this a little bit, because if Wendy is still trying to do that, we need to give her a chance to be successful.
She has made significant effort from what I've heard.
And she said she would do it, so we need to give her a chance.
Okay. So I'll check back with her. I'll try to check with her every 2 weeks and give you all an update next time we meet.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Okay.
and then we can do whatever. Is there
All
any
right.
other business to come before us?
One more.
Oh, sorry,
that-
sir.
This one came on, I didn't have it on the agenda, it's something we tabled, I think last month. So this one, I just want y'all, this case is going to be closed out, I think. So this was a dump site that we, citation number 692, we tabled this last month. This was a dump site that was located in the Lake Louisville area. After issuing a citation, responsible party worked with our office to have the site cleaned up. This is the general area, once again, down in the Lake Louisville area. So the picture on the left shows the dump site that was observed by me driving by. Picture on the left shows the amount of trash that had been dumped over the hill, and on the right, this is a current picture of the property. The property had been cleaned up, restored to original grade. 28 tons of trash and debris were removed from the property, and the disturbed ground was seeded and strawed back to its original. So I guess permission to close this case out. We've kind of dismissed the fine.
Let's make a motion, and we ought to give them a celebration.
Well, fortunately, this is there was an estate that actually had some money, and they hired a contractor to do it. It was done right and quickly.
Yeah, we should celebrate, but there's no silt fence around it.
It's not an acre.
It wasn't over an acre.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It looked way bigger.
But they did seed and straw. The contractor that removed the debris seeded and straw. That was in the contract, so it'll.
Success.
Yeah.
And is it now under new ownership?
You tell me. I don't know if it is or not. I don't think so yet.
Do we know who the new owner is going to be?
Yeah, I do.
Same person who created
Do
the
you
mess in
know
the
who it's
first
going to
place?
be?
Is it the same person who created the mess in the first
That little
place?
guy over here.
I don't know who created the mess.
Okay.
Okay, so we need a motion
For what?
to take,
it out.
to close
Close
it?
the case.
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion, we close this case.
Okay, and I need a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there any other business before the board?
Yes, I'd like to bring up just one thing as a topic, unless somebody's in a hurry to go. The case Mr. Tony Elkins. Is he the husband of the owner, Pamela?
I believe so.
All right, so we seem to be dealing with him instead of the owner.
Always have.
Always have. In a case like that, with he got so many, he got zoning violations, could we consider giving separate citations?
I do have that option, so for each,
Because that's a real complicated thing with 15 vehicles and all that trash and debris and gravel and trailers. Seems to
So-
me like we ought to be issuing more than one citation if we could.
so
Make
I
your
have
job-
always,
In that same vein, that's what I was saying, trying to get to with the abandoned property. Is there an opportunity for multiple violations to be issued?
so from my understanding, maybe Jim can help out, I can issue a fine for each ordinance that's violated. So if it's if it falls under which there's, as y'all have seen, there's 4 categories under the nuisance ordinance, or 3. If I cite them for both sections of the nuisance ordinance, that's 2 separate violations. If it's all the same thing, so if it's tall grass and vegetation on the house, that's only 1 violation of an ordinance, so
But
that's,
he's talking the difference between a nuisance ordinance and the zoning ordinance.
there could have been a fine for each one.
Well, it hasn't been our practice to do that.
It hasn't been my practice.
Yeah, I understand.
And we can, and if the severity of these cases continues to increase, then we might do that. At this point, I wouldn't recommend we do it, only because at least we're getting progress. Adam's doing a great job, even without citations. The ones that are coming to the board, you all are doing a great job of, sorting out the what's what. What can happen, if they're all in one citation, you might find that the nuisance ordinance is in compliance, but the zoning ordinance isn't. And you would just state that, that in your decision regarding the violations, you can say, look at, this one's fine. And then you can take action separately on the one that's not been brought into compliance, even if it's on the same. So,
Okay. I was just talking about, big cases like that one. That's expansive and just ridiculous.
Right.
In his case, I don't know how many vehicles, where does it cease to be nuisance?
Well,
15 vehicles, or
if
if there's
they're
5
if
people
they're-
that live there, 5 vehicles?
if they're registered and operational, we don't have any regulation. In other words, if you had a house in a subdivision and you had 4 kids and 3 of them drove, so you have a husband, wife, and 3 kids driving cars, you got 5 cars, there's nothing says you can't have them in your driveway, as long as they're operational and
That's
registered.
contrary to what Matt was saying, though, I thought. Was
Well,
it to
if
where
they're-
it becomes detrimental to the value of somebody else's property?
Well, again, my example was in a subdivision where on the driveway.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
You can
okay.
have as many as you want. Now, when it gets to a situation like this, he did say, well, I run a business. I picked up on it. So is he running a business out of his house? He's pointing at the other guy. This has been a long-going point. That's why the sheriff was here.
Right.
The issue becomes whether or not, in hearing the testimony and determining whether or not there's diminution of property based on however many vehicles might be there, that's your tough job.
Well, one truck had a rear wheel that was pointing
I
this
know, it
way
was
and the
not
front-
naturally oriented with
Yeah,
the
it
rest of the
wasn't.
truck.
And it was a brand-new truck.
It wasn't operable.
I truly believe he is running a business, but there's nothing there was no evidence.
It's his son that's running the business.
Are you able to check the registration on them?
He backs them all in.
Yeah, I hear you. I wouldn't walk up in there.
It sounds like his son's running a business out of it, so he can sit here and, without perjuring himself, say that he's not running a business.
We're still in open session, and I don't know how much more we want to talk
We
about
don't.
the case that just went
We
by
don't.
and versus,
Is there-
let's
Is there any other business
Motion-
before the board?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, so adjourn.